Yo, what is good, Jets Nation? Welcome back to another Jets Media live stream. And in this one, we'll be previewing the training camp that starts this week. It's about damn time. We got the usual boys, Ali and Jack, and we got a special guest, Harrison, joining us. So we're going to start off with Harrison. What is going on, man? And if you want to introduce yourself to the people that did not know who you are and what you got going on with your podcast.
Definitely, man. I'm excited to be here. I love talking about the Jets. I had you on my show not too long ago. It's on Mondays tonight, so if you guys want to check it out, it'll be later on tonight after this. It's live every Monday at 7 p.m. It's the Flight Spittin Fire Podcast. That's through my company, Take Flight Media. You can find me on Twitter. Please subscribe to the podcast. I'm excited to be here. Let's go, man. Let's talk about them Jets.
Oh, yes, sir. So, Jack, how you doing today, my man?
Doing very well, man. Looking forward to this all day. So I've been just chomping at the bit, so I'm ready to get to it.
Ready to talk some Jets? How about you, Ali?
Yeah, I'm ready to talk some football again. It's finally training camp, so we're kind of close to football now, so I can't wait, man.
Shout out to NYJ Matt. What's good, bro? I'm assuming this is actually you. It is Broadway Jets. Shout out to my guy Matt on Twitter, Broadway Jets Podcast. Check him out. Absolute boy. Got to get you on the stream again, Matt. Hit me up. So in this episode, like I said, we're going to preview the training camp because it is less than a week away. It is actually this week. We're going to talk about some battles of who we should look out for, some position groups to look out for. There's so much to talk about. We're still waiting for Zach Wilson to sign his rookie deal. But if you guys remembered when Sam Darnold was drafted, the same thing happened. It happens every year, it feels like. I'm not too concerned about it. But some people on Twitter always blows it up to be something that it shouldn't. And as you guys know, I've been posting a lot of Jets content on my channel, pumping out the player profiles. I got a Mekhi Becton one coming out tomorrow. I appreciate all the support on this channel. It means so much to me, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. I'm so happy to be part of the Jets community, and I'm so thankful to have Ali and Jack to be the regulars on the channel, and, of course, a special guest, Harrison. So before we get into the deep nitty-gritty of the training camp, Harrison, you want to talk about what you took away from your interviews with Jets players, because you actually interviewed the one and only John Franklin Myers and Bryce Huff. So you want to let them know what you took away from those interviews?
Definitely, man. I did. And again, if you guys want to check that out, that was on my podcast. You can see it on my channel on YouTube. I had an exclusive interview with John Franklin Myers and exclusive with Bryce Huff. Man, it was awesome. And I learned a lot of information in that. It was exciting. I asked John Franklin Myers what one of his favorite moments was, like in all of football, like as a kid, in his teens in the NFL. Immediately, without even hesitation, he's like, his favorite moment was he got to sack Tom Brady in the Super Bowl as a Ram. And I'm just like, oh man, like I had to contain myself because I'm like, I'm doing an interview. I'm like, that's I just loved it. Like I was like, every Jet fan just instantly fell 1,000 times harder in love with John Franklin Myers. And it was just it was amazing, man. Everything he said was awesome. But a couple of big things stuck with me. Another big thing was I asked him about, the new edge rushers that were brought in on the team and who he's, excited about and who, he's spoken to. He said he loved everyone. He said Carl brought so much to the table. He was excited with, Sheldon coming in. But when he got to Vinny Curry, he stopped for a second and said, like, legit, like, out of everyone I've ever seen, he said Vinny Curry has the fastest get off he's ever seen in his life. And which is understandable because we've watched Vinny Curry over the years, and he's a pretty legit edge rusher. Like even last year at 32 years old, he had 10 QB hits. And that was, a lot for he would have been third overall on the Jets altogether last year. So I think, even though he's getting up there, people are sleeping on him, especially, John saying it's just, and that's what it comes to with an edge rusher, get off is the most important thing. And he's saying Curry's the fastest just ever. And that's even compared to Carl, which is crazy. With Huff, one of my favorite things that he said was, I always thought, as I watched him a lot in Memphis, I liked him a lot. I was excited about him when we got him as an undrafted guy. I thought he'd go drafted. I figured, he had 2 excellent years because in college he had 1 year as an outside linebacker, 1 year with his hand in the dirt, and he dominated in both, which was exciting about him. So I asked him which he liked more, but what I found out that I didn't know about him was he said he'd been playing with his hand in the dirt his whole life. That playing outside linebacker was new to him. And he actually had to learn more and get used to more, anticipation, he was saying, and certain kind of movement. He said being hand in the dirt, playing that kind of defensive end, 4-3 end position is what he's always done. He said he thrives in that. That's what he wants to do. He said there's less thought involved in his mind. It's, not as much, certain things, just getting to the quarterback. So it's exciting with his potential as well, what he could be bringing. He could be a big sleeper this year, especially in the new 4-3 system.
Yeah, man. I love that you got an inside perspective of JFM and Bryce Huff. That is awesome. Guys, make sure you check out Harrison's podcast. That's all down below in the description if you want to check it out. So let's get right into the training camp preview because there's so much we can talk about, whether it's, a certain position group, a certain player, the rookies. But overall, I just want to give your overall thoughts going into training camp, whether that's your expectations for the coaching staff. And obviously, this is my first time live since the tragic passing of Greg Knapp. So I think this is a good opportunity to, say our condolences to the Knapp family. This is an absolutely, heartbreaking situation for him and his family. And he was a great man, and it's very unfortunate. So send your prayers to the Knapp family. It's definitely devastating for the players and the coaching staff and the family and everything. The NFL in general lost a guy who has been putting his heart and soul into the NFL for 30 plus years. He's mentored guys like Steve Young, Manning, Mike Vick, and he's been around the league for a long time, and he was gone way too soon. So I definitely want to bring up Greg Knapp because I didn't really get an opportunity to, give my condolences to the Knapp family. So rest in peace to Napper. He will definitely have an impact on this team this year. I feel like he had a lot of things to say, even though it was a short period of time. He got to coach Zach Wilson and got to coach a lot of players, and I know that everything that he said is going to be sitting within them for the season. This season is definitely dedicated to him in particular. So with that being said, Ali, do you want to give your thoughts of training camp and what you can expect going in, whether you want to talk about a certain player before we get into the nitty-gritty of stuff?
Yeah, man. For this training camp, honestly, it's just, can we just play no injuries? That's all we need to hope that doesn't happen, and just see Zach Wilson be ready for week one. That's literally, and his weapons ready to go week one. That's all we need to see, because I feel like every year we think this team's going to be healthy. On paper, it looks good, and then we have some type of injury, some type of, bug that comes into this organization, and we suck. And then we got injured guys. We don't have a full roster, and then excuses come out. Excuses after these reporters are giving excuses. Fans are giving excuses. I don't want any excuses this year. I just want them to go play football right now and with a healthy football team. So I think that's like the main perspective of training camp, is somehow figure out a way to stay healthy, be on the field, and just play football, because this is a young team, a lot of new pieces. This coaching staff needs every single snap with these players to get ready for week one.
I love it. Jack, how about you, man? What's your thoughts going to training camp? Any position battles you want to bring up, or what's your overall thoughts? Because we had 4 weeks of no football, and now we're back, and training camp is this week, man. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm very excited, man. I think this is when you really start to feel like the next season is almost here. And, all these questions that we've been wondering to ourselves all off season about all these different position battles, are going to be answered within the next couple of weeks. How's the cornerback depth chart going to shake out? What's going to happen at right guard? Who's going to be starting, as our primary pass catching tight end? All those questions that we've had for a while now, are going to be answered within the next couple of weeks. So it's just a really exciting time. We got preseason football in like 2 weeks, I think. So yeah, man, it's just an exciting time, and one step closer to week one and the start of a new season, man. And the way I look at it is that it can't get any worse than where we were at last year. And now we have, a new quarterback, new staff, just, new faces all over the building and within the organization as a whole. So I really think things are definitely looking up for this year, and super hyped, man. I'm just like Ali mentioned, it's just something that we're going to have to deal with. Hopefully it's, we're not hit with the injury bug too badly. But it's just part of the game. And we deal with it every year, but the goal is with the especially with the all gas, no break mentality is to, be able to be the same team we are with injuries as opposed to without injuries. The way we recover, the way we rehab. Salah's gonna, his whole shtick is changing the mindset on everything, not just, the actual playing of the downs in the game. So I really think that the Salah effect is, taking place before our eyes. So hopefully we won't have to deal with as many nagging injuries as we have in the last couple seasons, but it's all speculation. But I'm just super hyped, man. We're getting very close.
Yes, sir. The Salah effect is the real deal. I feel like there's a different aura surrounding this Jets team, even outside of Jets Nation. So, Harrison, your thoughts of going into training camp, anything you want to bring up in particular, just how excited are you to finally have training camp open for the New York Jets?
I mean, I'm super excited. I mean, training camp is so important. Like, we heard good stuff from OTAs, we heard good stuff from minicamp, but there's no pads on. I mean, you hear the term all the time. How many shorts superstars do we see all the time? The guys that just light it up before the pads go on and don't perform well when they do. So this is really important. This is a major thing that we're getting to. And like you said, we were without football for a little while, but Jack and Ali made some really good points. Jack brought up the preseason, which I feel is in a way infinitely more important than training camp, which is why I kind of wanted to take a moment and address the fact that there was even people in general saying that there shouldn't be a preseason. Like that was a conversation at one point. Like that's crazy to me. Like preseason is so important. You need to see what your team does against actual competition. Like they may look great against their own guys. I mean, like Jack pointed out last year, nowhere to go but up. Last year's Jets in training camp looked good against themselves. I mean, it looked like a good situation there. So you got to see what they do, when you're against real competition. So I just think that's crazy, people talking about that. Preseason super important. Ali mentioned injury. I think what's important with this team is I talk about it all the time with Joe Douglas. I'm a huge Joe Douglas fan. I mean, this guy gets it, like 100% gets it. I've talked to everything about it. This guy's a great GM. And from, not just bringing in great talent, like specifically in free agency, we have one of the best free agencies of anybody, an amazing draft, but there's depth. So like a guy like Dan Feeney, for example. I mean, he shouldn't be a starter, but you can't knock the fact that he's never missed an NFL game. He's played every game that he's ever, played in. So that's good to have. Durability. We have all these battles we talked about. There's legit like 10. Like I have a whole podcast episode on it. It was like 2 hours. There's like 10 battles going on in camp, which is good because we actually have talent. It's great. With the Jets so many times in the past, it's okay. Well, we have a crop of nobody, and who's going to step up? Who's going to be the guy? Now we have all these battles at guard, running back, at CB2, wide receiver 2. It's big. I'm excited. I can't wait to see these battles unfold. And it's finally just great because there's talent. Like the issue is not, like we were saying, who can be the guy? It's we have all this talent. Who's, going to step up and want it more?
Exactly, man. We have so much to talk about when it comes to training camp. I love that you brought up the preseason. I love the preseason because it gives us an opportunity to see not only the starters, but the guys that are fighting for their job and trying to make the roster. Like people say like, oh, preseason's so boring. It's all backups. Like I love watching the backups. I love watching the undrafted free agents and these guys in the third and fourth quarters, even though it's not the starters. And we're not going to be able to see Zach Wilson for a long period of time. We get to see James Morgan. We get to see Mike White. We get to see all these guys like undrafted free agents and trying to make the roster, and they're competing for something. So preseason to me, I've watched every single game, every single preseason Jets game for my entire life. I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm glad you brought it up. So let's pivot into the first topic I want to talk about, which is indeed the sleepers on the Jets that you predict will have a great camp. So somebody that, it's not obvious that, okay, this player, that player that everyone's talking about. So who are some sleepers, if you want to say one player or two players, doesn't matter, that you're expecting that could shock a lot of people in camp in particular, that because as we know, we're going to get play-by-play updates from all the Jets beat reporters, from Connor Hughes to DJ, and I'll be glued to it. I'll be making a video recapping every single one. And also, for those guys that do not know, I will be at the training camp, the public training camp, day 1 and 2, Saturday and Monday. I'll be there Saturday with my dad, and Ali will be there as well, so I get to finally meet Ali for the first time. And then Monday, I'll be going with Jack. So if any guys going Saturday or Monday, I'm excited to meet you. Let me know in the chat if you guys are going to any of them, because I'll definitely be interested, talk some Jets football with you guys there. I'm excited to actually meet you guys in person. So, Ali, I'll start off with you. Any sleepers in camp that you're expecting that can prove a lot of people wrong?
There's a name that hasn't been used a lot, Ty Johnson, running back. Obviously, we know Tevin Coleman, what he's capable of doing. I think he probably will be the starting running back there. And then obviously the rookie Michael Carter is, being impressive in OTAs, but we haven't seen him in pads, obviously, yet. But Ty Johnson last year, he showed a lot of flashes when he was out there. I mean, his speed, his playmaking ability, I want to see more. I want to see, because I think he's a scheme fit in this offense. I think he could. I actually wrote about this earlier today. I actually published it. He wants to show that his last season was not a fluke. Like what we saw out there was just not like whatever, like Adam Gase's just running the ball type deal. He could actually ball out. That's what we want to see. And that's why LaMichael Pirine is on the edge and Josh Adams on the edge, because Ty Johnson has a chance of making the roster and becoming that third running back. I think he's probably one of my offensive sleepers. So I'm really excited to see if Ty Johnson could actually make that. He can continue his success from last season, even though he was with Adam Gase as a head coach, if he can thrive with LaFleur.
I love that pick, Ali. Jack, how about you, man? Any player or players that you think that could prove to be a guy that's going to prove a lot in training camp?
Yeah, I'm going to flip it to the other side of the ball. I'm going to say two names. First name I think you had on the screen. I think somebody said it. I think Sean actually said it. I was going to say Jason Pinnock.
That's my guy.
That's the draft pick that I, Harrison, I love it because I have really high hopes for the guy, but I think he's, and we've said this for a couple weeks now, I think he's very boom or bust. He's a very unique body type and play style for an outside cornerback. It's kind of a weird combination for him to be like 6'4" and to be, manned up on the outside. I feel like we're not used to seeing defensive backs with a big body type like that. But then again, the last defensive back that we drafted from Pitt was potentially the greatest Jet of all time. So I'm holding out hopes for Pinnock. I think that if it works out, I think he can really be fantastic for us. And, he'll be a solid guy to throw on the outside to, cover, an opposing team's biggest receiver. And another name I'll throw in there is Gerard Davis. I was very intrigued by that signing when we got him. I saw a lot of potential in the film that I saw of him after I found out that we picked him up in free agency. A total speedster, and that's a big theme I see everywhere across this defense now. Across many different positions is speed. I mean, like you mentioned earlier in the stream, Harrison, even with the defensive line, you're talking about Vinny Curry and his get off the ball speed. I just feel like this defense that Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich are building, and Joe Douglas is building, obviously, it's just going to be fast and tenacious and nasty. And I think that Jared Davis is going to be hopefully a big part of that. So those are two names that I'm hopeful for to have good camps.
I love it. How about you, Harrison? Any player or players that you think are going to be sleepers in this training camp?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. Jack and Ali were talking about it. There could be a lot of them because there's so many battles. Running backs completely wide open. CB2's completely wide open. Linebacker in a way is completely wide open. There's so much potential there. But, if I'm coming at it from a sleeper, like somebody that you may not expect, I would say if you look at the CB2 position, right now it looks like it's a competition with Bless Austin as the main guy. But kind of like Jack said, I wouldn't sleep on Jason Pinnock. Like, I'm a big fan of this kid. You mentioned the size. I think you might have been thinking maybe Hamza Nasruddin, because Nasruddine's a big dude. Nasruddine's like 6'4". Pinnock is interesting. I like him a lot. I mean, I looked at his numbers on paper. He's like as good as anybody. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I remember I was a huge J.C. Horn fan, like huge. Like, I was like, this is the best CB in this draft. And he wound up going 8th, which is understandable. And when he went, they were saying how great it was that he had the 3rd lowest completion percentage against in all of 2020. Well, that's great. But Jason Pinnock had the best. Jason Pinnock actually had a better completion percentage against than J.C. Horn. And he compares in stats with Derek Stingley. Like, it's ridiculous. The biggest knock on him, people would say, is that they said, he got beat by speed guys. That was the biggest thing. But I'm a big Pitt guy. Anyone who's a big Pitt guy, Richie, I think we might have talked about this a little bit when you were on with me. All these Pitt guys, these corners are on an island. And, they have to make it on their own. There's no help over the top. A guy like Bryce Hall, he get beat by a speed guy too. Pinnock is a big physical corner. I like his potential a lot. Another one could be Isaiah Dunn. He's, an undrafted guy that comes out of nowhere. He didn't do well at Oregon State, but then again, Oregon State didn't do well at Oregon State in general. The whole system was kind of bad. They fired their head coach. They had one win. So people feel like the physicality is there and he's just kind of like needed to be molded. And I know a lot of the beat writers were super high on him when they saw him play, in OTAs. And then just real sleeper, I would throw in Lamar Jackson. I feel like he's majorly slept on because as an undrafted guy, I mean, again, he's not that fast, but a guy like him, Hall, Pinnock, they're all big 200-pound physical CBs that can cover anybody. If you want a speed guy, you put Michael Carter on him. You put Javelin Guidry on him. These guys are big physical corners. And Lamar Jackson actually had the lowest missed tackle percentage of any Jet last year. He only allowed one missed tackle. So I think that CB2 spot, and there's a couple of sleepers, and it may not be, as clearly Bless Austin as everyone thinks. I think it could be wide open between those four guys.
I agree, man. The CB2 spot's going to be the talk of training camp throughout the entire training camp, in my opinion. I think it's penciled in that Bryce Hall is indeed the starter, and then the CB2 one's up for grabs. I think slot corner's also up for grabs, but my guess would be Michael Carter II to win that job. But then there's Javelin Guidry and there's other players, and it's just crazy. We find out that Steven Nelson gets signed, and that's really it. There's no other veteran cornerback on the market, and that's a big controversial topic amongst Jets fans, that the Jets are staying young at the cornerback spot. They do not want a veteran. They want to give the young guys every single rep in practice, every single rep in the games to develop. And that's really interesting because you can see what the Jets are trying to do defensively. They're stacking up the front seven, and then they are with veterans. There's not a rookie or someone super young on that defensive line where you're hopeful, as a rookie or year two guys. You got Quinnen Williams entering year three. Jonathan Franklin Myers has experience. We signed guys like Carl Lawson, Sheldon Rankins, who are veterans. Vinny Curry, a veteran. There's so many guys on this linebacker and defensive line group that's not really inexperienced. They're all experienced veterans that have proven to get to the quarterback and stop the run. But then you flip it to the cornerbacks. It's complete opposite. So what the Jets are doing similarly on defense, what they're trying to do on offense is building from the inside out. You build at the line of scrimmage with veterans because those are the guys that's going to be the bread and butter of this defense. And on the outside, they want to develop these corners to be household names that Joe Douglas can pay cheap. He's trying to have financial flexibility for a long time. Not saying that, signing a guy like Steven Nelson would cost a big buck. I mean, he signed a 1-year, $3 million deal. But a guy like Steven Nelson, he would provide a very good veteran impact, but he'll take snaps away from guys. And you can tell that this Jets front office has a lot of confidence in this young rookie, not even rookie, year one, year two, year three cornerback room. And that gives me confidence. If the Jets defensive staff can look at this depth chart in the cornerback room and say, this guy, we have so much potential on this roster with this position, it gives me confidence. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with them going this route. I know that some Jets fans can disagree, but that is definitely okay. I really feel like my sleeper going into this year, there's so many players I can think off the top of my head, but the two rookies that I'm really excited to see the most on the defensive side of the ball is definitely Hosman Nasruddin and Jamian Sherwood. These two guys are both hybrid linebackers that are played safety throughout their majority of their college careers, but coming out of college, they were known to be a 4-3 style linebacker, and that's exactly why we drafted him. The night of the draft, some people that didn't know who they were, we saw safety, corner, go off the board. We're like, why are we getting all these corners and safeties? But they're linebackers. Hamza Nasruddin and both Jamian Sherwood, they both bring so much to the linebacker core, and they both do different things. Hosman is that 6'4", stretched out long arms that can go out there and play all over the field. He's a ball hawk. He can do so much. And then Jamian Sherwood's more of that north and south type of guy that will absolutely lay the boom when need to be. I feel like Sherwood has a lot to prove as an NFL player because I feel like the Jets, they reached on him, but the Jets reached on him because they saw a lot of potential in him. And I love that about the Jets front office. They don't care what position they're drafting at. They love a player. They went out and got him. So those are my two rookies on the defensive side of the ball. And then the offensive side of the ball, not saying that people are sleeping on him, but Denzel Mims, I feel like, is going to prove to be a household name this year, a guy that's going to be a proven star. Maybe not this year as a star, but I just see so much potential written all over him, and he's like a unicorn out there. He's a matchup nightmare. His physical body is going to be a matchup against anybody else, and I just feel like Denzel Mims has a lot to prove because he's coming off I would say a disappointing rookie season simply because of the injuries and nobody throwing him the ball. I think he was just a perfect example of what Adam Gase's offense did to players. It hindered his development. There was no plays designed for him. He was not there mentally or physically. Obviously, he had 2 nagging hamstring injuries. So I'm expecting Denzel Mims to go out there and prove to be a guy that's going to be starting alongside Corey Davis on the outside. And I'm very excited to see what Denzel can do. So let's get into the next topic. Who will be the star of training camp on both offense and defense? So this is like every single camp that we just see this one guy going crazy on both offense and defense. So I'll start off. I think the star on offense is going to be Elijah Moore. I really feel like, I mean, he was a star of OTAs. And obviously, like Harrison alluded to earlier, there's a lot of players that could be stars with shorts on. But I really genuinely believe that we got a stud in Elijah Moore. His mindset after, following him on social media for all these months after drafting him and understanding him as a person and where his mindset is, he has so much left in the tank. Like, he just has the mindset that I can just really relate to in a way like, okay, this guy has the mindset in order to be great. And without that type of killer mindset and that relentless work ethic, you're never going to be great. So I really feel like Elijah Moore is going to be the star on offense for the Jets. And on defense, I really think the star is going to be CJ Mosley. I think he's going to be making plays all over the field. I think he has a lot to prove to Jets fans in particular. That I understand that you gave me a huge contract. I've not been here with you guys yet. I probably had the most historical first half of NFL history, probably looked at as the greatest free agent signing ever at that moment for that first half against the Buffalo Bills in 2019. He has a lot to prove to himself. He has a lot to prove to Jets fans that you gave me a big contract. I haven't been here for 2 years, but I'm here now. And I really feel like CJ Mosley is going to be all over the field in training camp. So those are my two guys, Elijah Moore and CJ Mosley. Ali, what about you? Give me a star on offense and defense that you think are going to be consistently looking good. And we always hear their name over and over and over again on both offense and defense.
You should get used to hearing Keelan Cole's name on offense. I think he's a guy that people are not looking at because you have Elijah Moore, you have Denzel Mims, Corey Davis, but no one's focusing on Keelan Cole. He was with Jacksonville, which is an awful football team over there too, and now he has a chance to be a star here. He's not going to be the number one wide receiver, but I've always loved Keelan Cole, and I'm so excited to see him on the field because we've seen him. Connor Hughes reported that Keelan Cole is above Denzel Mims at depth chart. Keelan Cole is flashing. So I think Keelan Cole could actually flash, at least in training camp, to show that he could be the third wide receiver of this group or the fourth wide receiver of this group and make plays for this team. I think he'll be a red zone target for this team. I think he'll be a guy that fans are going to start loving because when he comes out there, he's ready to make a play. And I think that's what Keelan Cole is. He's a very underrated talent there, and I'm excited to see him. And then defense is obvious. It's Quinnen Williams time. I think Quinnen Williams is going to have a monster year. And to get for Zach Wilson to get better, they got to bring the pressure at him. And Quinnen Williams needs to know that and needs to get to his quarterback and pressure him, get him ready for game ready. This Jets defensive line is insane, especially with Carl Lawson coming with an edge rusher. We finally have an edge rusher now. So he can train pretty well because this is a pretty solid defensive lineman now. Like full on line. So, I mean, there's not just one star. So I think this is a perfect time for Quinnen Williams to show, especially while fans are there to show him that he's ready for this season. He's ready to eat this season. And this defensive line could be a really big impact. So I think that's how a quarterback will get ready for the NFL. And I think Zach Wilson's a little bit far away from being ready to be elite in the league. But having these type of practices, having the defensive line attack him at every single point in time, I think that will help him develop. And I think Quinnen Williams is ready for that task.
I love it. Jets gang. I love that name. Shout out to gang. Jack, how about you, man? Who are a star on both offense and defense that you think we're going to be hearing their name over and over again all throughout training camp?
Yeah, I'll go with Carl Lawson on the defensive side of the ball. I feel like, he was obviously our biggest defensive free agent move this offseason. He's the first bona fide edge rusher that we've had in maybe a decade. So, I'm really excited to see what he's going to do. Ali just mentioned Quinnen Williams. I think the addition of Carl Lawson to this defensive line, as well as all the other names we brought in this offseason, are just going to free up Quinnen Williams to, have the breakout third year that we're expecting from him. So I'm really excited for that. Really excited to see what Carl Lawson's going to bring to this defensive line. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I'll go with the running back, man. I'll go with Michael Carter. I think he's going to fill that role that we all hoped Le'Veon Bell was going to bring to this Jets team. I think he's going to be super reliable both in the running game and the pass catching game. I think he's going to be a safety blanket for a rookie quarterback, Zach Wilson. And I just I see a lot of potential in Michael Carter. He has breakaway speed. He can make any man miss. Like I said, he can be used both in the running game and the pass catching game. So I'm just really excited to see, what plays are going to be drawn up from Michael Carter. And I think that he can, be Zach Wilson's safety blanket and go-to guy out there, man.
I love the picks. Harrison, how about you, man? Who are a star on offense and defense that you think will be hearing their names all throughout training camp?
Man, the second you said think of a star, I just got excited because I started like all the names you guys were mentioning. There's so much potential for a lot of guys to kind of be stars. Like there's like Carl Lawson could be a star. I mean, which he should be, again, best edge rusher we've got since John Abraham. I've shown with the numbers, it's ridiculous what this guy's done if you look at everything but the sack numbers. Quinnen Williams is going to be eaten. Franklin Myers could be eaten. Specifically on defense, though, I think the one star I'd have to pick that I think is going to really surprise people is Bryce Hall. Bryce Hall, I loved that pick when we got him. I was a big fan of him in Virginia. Felt like this guy had what it took to be a starter. Right when we drafted him, I was saying that, when he played, he looked like he could have potential first-round talent. But because of injury, he'd fallen down in the draft. Can he stay healthy was the big factor. Well, last year, not only did he stay healthy, when he played, he looked like a CB1. And he looked like a CB1 in a bad system. Like with everything working against him, with Adam Gase, with Greg Williams, he still looked like a CB1 in that limited play. So I just feel like the sky's the limit for him, man. I feel like people that are saying they're not sure at cornerback, I think he's really going to come in and show people and lock people down. I'm really excited about that. On offense, again, so many. Ali mentioned Keelan Cole. Richard, you mentioned Denzel Mims. That's going to be an excellent competition. Because like Ali mentioned, I've written a whole article on it. It was interesting. DJ and Connor Hughes both had the same take, that Cole was a better fit for the system, better route runner. But again, Mims has all this potential. That's going to be a really interesting battle. But I think star-wise, and I'm excited about this, it's all rookies. Like my 3 stars on offense, Zach Wilson at quarterback, Elijah Moore at wide receiver, Michael Carter in the backfield. I think all 3 of them are going to show big. Because again, for a quarterback, he's a rookie. I mean, for a rookie, he just has to look pretty good. And that, is classifying he really is a star because the quarterback position is so important. And I think Zach Wilson was really flashing in OTAs and minicamp with the pads off. Now we've seen the throws, the ability he has, the anticipation he has, the touch he has. I think he's really, really going to shine. Elijah Moore, potential superstar. Michael Carter, steal of the draft. I mean, that guy I thought was just as good as Javonte Williams. I mean, he actually had more yards per carry than Javonte. So I think the 3 of them, all rookies, really have the potential to be stars in camp. And that would just be amazing with 3 rookies balling like that.
It really is insane. I mean, you guys know me. I made a whole video about it. I bring it up pretty much every single live stream. But this young core we have on offense is unbelievable. You just got to – obviously, we don't know what's going to happen yet because we haven't seen them touch the field besides Mekhi and Denzel. But in 2 drafts, we got 6 potential household names on offense in Zach Wilson, Elijah Vera-Tucker, Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, Mekhi Becton, and Denzel Mims. That doesn't happen often. It's very hard to get those guys. And I feel like we got the offensive line absolutely locked down the left side with Mekhi and AVT. And we got playmakers surrounding the young quarterback. We got the young quarterback. It's just so insane. The Jets have always been defensive-minded our entire lives, it feels like. Every year they're just defensive-oriented. And then Joe Douglas comes in. He's like, wait a second. You guys have been ignoring this side of the ball on the in the draft for way too long, and I'm going to change that. And I'm going offense. And there's the point where I remember in the draft when we drafted Michael Carter, we drafted 4 straight offensive players, and people were like not used to it. We're like, oh my god, like why do we have 4 straight offensive players? Now I'm worried about the defense. And then what does Douglas do? He drafts 6 straight defensive players. He knows what he's doing, guys. So I love that we got all those stars. Now let's talk about certain position groups. Which position group are you most excited to see practice in training camp? This could be a position group that you feel like is going to be the most dominant, such as the defensive line. Or it's a position group like the tight ends, where we don't even know who the hell is going to be the number 1 tight end. Is it going to be Herndon? Is it going to be Knox? Is it going to be this guy or that guy? Or is it the running back room? Because that's another position group that's up for grabs. Even the wide receivers, we're so deep there. The quarterbacks, the offensive line, I mean, the corners. There's so many position groups to talk about. So whichever one you want to really break down, feel free to do so. Starting off with you, Ali.
I think the obvious one is cornerback, but I kind of want to look at the tight ends because I feel like Tyler Kroft could possibly take over Chris Herndon's spot because in OTAs, obviously in OTAs and minicamp, he's had some great plays that he made. He's also with Buffalo, he made some good plays over there too. But there's a lot of weapons in Buffalo, so he didn't get as many chances there. But I think Croft could, because I'm not going on that Chris Herndon bandwagon again. I think everyone knows that about me, that I can't do that until he proves me wrong. Because I feel like every year after his rookie year, I've been like, he's gonna have this great of a year, and then he just sucks, or he doesn't just not come on the field. He got arrested, and then he got like suspended, and then like he got hurt. So like I don't know, what to expect from him. So I haven't seen him play actual football. And last year, I mean, he had 3 touchdowns in 3 straight games. Maybe that helps him this year. But again, I'm not overhyping. I think Croft is a developed tight end. He's been in the league for a while, and he knows how to play in big games. He knows how to make those tough catches, and that's very important for a young quarterback to have a tight end that he can rely on. We saw that with Sam Darnold his rookie year. He had a Chris Herndon rookie, and he played really well with Chris Herndon when he was playing decent. Sam Darnold had a good rookie year, and Chris Herndon was a big part of that success. So a tight end position is very important for this team. And I think Croft could be the guy that, shoots up. Obviously, we have Kenny Yeboah, undrafted. I think I'm also excited to see him go out there, see if he can make some plays in preseason. You can't really tell in training camp for him. So we'll see how he does against these pretty good, decent teams. But yeah, I think the tight end position is very interesting because I just don't know who's going to come up top.
I love it. Jack, how about you, man? Which position group are you most intrigued to see go out there in training camp?
Yeah, I think this has been the answer for me all offseason, honestly. It's the offensive line for me, especially in the last couple of weeks with the Morgan Moses situation finally happening, finally coming to fruition. And I know, obviously, all of us Jets fans are hyped to have him on this roster. But, yeah, man, I think that, obviously nobody has to, overstate how important good offensive line play is for any quarterback, but especially for us specifically with a rookie quarterback who's used to having one of the best front fives in college football. Zach Wilson was rarely touched. So, there's definitely going to be a little bit of an adjustment period in the pros for him, I would imagine. But I think this offensive line that Joe Douglas has assembled over the past 2 off seasons, starting with Mekhi Becton at left tackle, I think these guys are going to step up. And, you got Mekhi Becton, Elijah Vera-Tucker, who that was my favorite moment of this entire offseason when we traded up for him to grab him at 14. I haven't screamed like that related to the Jets in a positive way in a very long time. So that was great. McGovern is solid. We pretty much know what we have out of him at this point. He's not going to blow anyone's mind with his play, but he's a very solid center. The right guard is where you have your question mark. Obviously, I would say as of now, probably in road job to lose just because he was the starter last year. But, we have a crop of faces for Robert Saleh to play with. Could it be Cameron Clark, who's another Joe Douglas draft pick? Could it be Tristan Hoge, who was an undrafted guy that we got this year, who was Zach Wilson's teammate as well? Is it going to be George Fant, who moves over because Morgan Moses takes his right tackle spot? There's just so many different ways that it could all shake out. And I'm just so curious to see how it goes down over the next couple of weeks, because I feel like we have the talent, the names on the roster are there. We have the talent. Now it's just a matter of assembling the right 5 to have out there protecting Zach Wilson. And I have the faith in this coaching staff to get it done. I'm just super excited to see how that offensive line is going to shake out.
I love the offensive line pick, baby. Harrison, how about you, man? Which position group are you most excited to see in practice?
Yeah, I have my feeling. I think Ali made a good point with the tight end. I'm 100% with him. I've been on the Tyler Croft. I think is going to be the top tight end for a while now. Herndon's in a contract year. I mean, you got to be better than this in a contract year. That's when Corey Davis had his best year with drops in camp. I mean, maybe he'll do something in training camp. But my hot take was, with Croft possibly being the number 1, Griffin, Wesco even not feeling Yeboah was going to be able to pass the waivers. I don't think he could. I think Herndon could be a surprise cut. I really do. Like, that's a big surprise with me. But position group I'm most excited about, man, it's this defensive line. like 100% this defensive line because I'm so excited about the talent we brought in. Finally have real edge rushers in Carl Lawson, Vinny Curry. Quinnen was so dominant last year on the interior, and he still wasn't used right. He's going to be used even better this season, so he's going to eat even more. And like you were talking about earlier, Richie, this defense is predicated on getting to the quarterback. That is the lifeline of a Robert Saleh defense. If you go back through all the years Robert Saleh's with the 49ers, every year his defense ranked top 5 in the NFL or top 10 in QB hurries and getting to the quarterback. Even last year when they lost Bosa, when they lost Ford, they were still good at getting to the quarterback because that's what this defense is predicated around. It takes the pressure off the corners, off the safeties. It's about getting to the quarterback. I'm excited. I feel like that is going to be the biggest factor for this defense. And man, I can't wait to see that defensive line in training camp.
I love it, man. We got the two trenches. Jack mentions the O-line, Harrison mentions the D-line, and Ali mentions the tight end. So now I got to pick my position group. I think it's definitely the wide receivers simply because we have revamped this position to a position where Jets fans are looking at it like, whoa, wait a second. We got some men on this wide receiver group. I think last year we had some false optimism, as always, as Jets fans. But this year it feels way more reasonable simply because we have depth. Last year, we had no depth. We signed Brashad Perriman. That was our free agent acquisition. We had Jamison Crowder, who we felt like was, very reliable after I think he was entering year 2 with the Jets. And then we drafted Denzel Mims. And those were our top 3 receivers. All 3 of those receivers were injured at the same time for a long time. Now, and then wide receiver 4 and 5, we had Jeff Smith in there. Vincent Smith was injured. Braxton Berrios. It was just a nightmare. So now we have so much depth at this position. We got Corey Davis, who's our big free agent acquisition, who has wide receiver 1 written all over him, the best play action receiver in the NFL. And this system is all about the play action. We got a rookie wide receiver entering the NFL in Elijah Moore, who we all think it could be potentially a star in this league. We got Denzel Mims, who has so much potential in this league and who has a lot to prove. Jameson Crowder, who is a proven veteran, got a lot of experience with the Jets, and we understand what we're getting with him. Keelan Cole, who is another seasoned veteran who understands the game and is going to provide a big impact to this team. Those are our 5 receivers. So, say unfortunately 1 or 2 of them goes down, the 3 wide receivers that will be healthy, I'm confident in. And then we even got guys like Braxton Berrios as wide receiver 6. Braxton Berrios, if you guys forgot, I felt like every time Crowder was injured last year and Braxton Berrios was the starting slot, he was in the end zone. I really felt it got to a point even in fantasy where I'm like, oh, Crowder's injured. Am I picking up Braxton and starting him? Because for whatever reason, Sam loved finding Braxton Berrios in those garbage time plays, and he would get in the end zone. So Braxton Berrios being the wide receiver 6, I'm all for it. I feel like this wide receiving group has so much depth to it, so much mix of veteran and young guys. We got Corey Davis who's going to mentor Denzel. We got Jameson who's going to mentor Elijah Moore. And it's just such a great dynamic that the Jets are implementing here. And the wide receiving group is so deep. And every time I think about it, I get so excited. So the wide receiving group is definitely the most exciting group I want to get into when it comes to the training camp. That's the one that I'm looking out for the most when it comes to training camp. Absolutely. So now let's get into the next topic that I want to talk about, which is indeed the quarterback position. And his name is Zach Wilson, if you guys don't know who he is. So Zach Wilson is entering his rookie season. He's currently unsigned, but that will definitely change in the next couple of days. So I just want to hear your overall expectations for Zach Wilson going into his rookie season. We don't have to get into statistics, but what do you want to see from him to prove to be the franchise guy? Because we're coming off 3 years ago drafting a guy in Sam Darnold, and Jets fans had hope that he was the guy, and he showed us so much potential year 1. The last 4 or 5 games of the season, he was not outdoing, but he was going toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson. Sam was looking great. And then going into year 2, we know what happened with Mono, and then same thing. End of the year, Sam showed us a little hope, and then year 3 was an absolutely nightmare. So what can you expect, and what do you want to see from Zach Wilson his rookie season in order for you to have confidence going into year 2 that this guy is our franchise quarterback? Starting off with you, Willie.
Well, the thing with Sam Darnold, obviously he showed us flashes, and for Zach Wilson, we should expect mistakes. He's a rookie. He's going to learn. The thing with Sam Darnold is when he would make a mistake, he would not learn from it. He would make the same mistakes over and over. looking at this, staring down receivers, making stupid decisions, just not throwing the ball away, like common sense plays. For Zach Wilson, his rookie year, I don't expect him to explode. I don't expect him to have a Herbert season, but I want him to learn from his mistakes. If he makes a mistake, I want him to figure it out and go out and not make that mistake again. Make that another read and make the play. That's what he needs to do. And that's, I feel like, what ruined Sam Darnold. Coaching had to do a big part of that, but Sam Darnold just he kept doing. I knew exactly what he was going to do. I knew he was going to get sacked. I knew when he was running out of bounds, he was not going to throw it away. I know he was going to force it to one of his receivers, and it would be picked off. That's not what Zach Wilson can do. I mean, he needs to know that he made a mistake and learn from it. It's your rookie year. You're supposed to learn and get better for your sophomore year in the NFL. Right now, it's to learn. He has a good coaching staff around him. That's what we're expecting. Robert Saleh and LaFleur, they know what they're doing. They're coming from winning organizations and know how to coach. So that's a plus for Zach Wilson. He needs to learn from his mistakes, build the chemistry with the young guys, especially Elijah Moore, Michael Carter. Hopefully we can get that run game going so he can get more comfortable in the passing game. And we just need to see progress out of him. We don't want 10 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, and have like 300 yards every game. Just see progressions, play clean games, make the right reads, and just continue to live in another down. That's what he needs to do. And I think he will. I think he has that mentality of doing that. And I saw that in college too. He would make a mistake and not make that mistake again. If you watch enough film of him, he would make a mistake. He would make a bad interception, never do that throw again, and he would be in the end zone the next drive. So I think he has that mentality in him, and I'm excited to see Zach Wilson this year.
Yes, sir. Jack, what's your thoughts of Zach Wilson going into his rookie season, and what are your expectations, and what do you need to see from him when all's said and done, season's completed? If you want to talk about stats or whatever, what do you want to see from him that gives you confidence going to year 2? We got our guy.
I am just trying my best to manage my expectations and not expect too much, honestly. Like I mentioned earlier, Zach Wilson was in a pretty fantastic situation for a quarterback to be in his last year of college. He was playing behind one of the best offensive lines in college football. He rarely got touched. So I feel like, there's definitely going to be as there is with any player that comes into the NFL, but I feel like there's definitely going to be a bit of an adjustment period for Zach Wilson. And we can't expect him to be great right away. Although that being said, Zach Wilson, without having even stepped onto the field yet to start a game, is already in a better position to succeed than Sam Darnold ever was as a New York Jet. And that's just because of what, they did as an organization this offseason and who they drafted and who they brought in to coach the team. And, all the moves that they made throughout the offseason. I truly believe that Zach Wilson right now, before ever even playing a game, is in a better position to succeed than Sam ever was in his 3 seasons as a Jet. So, that being said, it does give me, higher expectations than normal for Zach. I mean, let's face it, he was the 2nd overall pick in the draft. He's got to live up to that hype. We're all realistic guys. We know that it's not going to happen right away. But, he definitely cannot play poorly this year. I guess I'll say that. I don't want him to play poorly and then we just say, oh, it was his rookie year, like he'll be better next year. I need to see a good season, at least a good season. It doesn't have to be a great season, but I don't want to see bad play from Zach Wilson because then I would just be genuinely concerned that, we have another Darnold on our hands. So I'm definitely looking for some, high quality caliber quarterback play from Wilson this year. I'm trying to manage my expectations, but I'll say the same point I said. I think Zach Wilson is in a much better position to succeed than Sam ever was. So I do have slightly higher expectations for Zach than I usually would, a rookie quarterback coming into the Jets, because these young quarterbacks that we draft, that we seem to draft every 3 or 4 years, are always walking into shit shows, for lack of a better word. And this time it just feels different. So I'm hopeful for Zach, but I'm just trying to manage my expectations. So I just want a good rookie campaign. I don't need it to be great, but I can't have it be bad either. It just needs to be good.
Yeah, man, it's hard to really hone, manage your expectations. You don't want to think too high or too low. It's really hard to predict what's going to happen. So, Harrison, you want to give your thoughts of Zach Wilson as he's hanging out right next to you?
Yeah, I was going to say, this is pretty sweet. I got Zach over here. He's on my side. I give him a high five or something. My hand goes through him, I guess.
You could do the old.
That's pretty sweet. I like it.
You're with a date at the movie theater.
Maybe I can set it up, make it look like a candid shot. Like people will think, like, "Oh man, you met Zach."
There you go.
There we go. We got it.
Yeah. So, what are your expectations for Zach in his rookie season? What can you look out for him to make sure that he is the guy?
So, Jack, I totally get managing your expectations. I've been a Jet fan my whole life, it's been tough. But I can't. I honestly can't because I'm so excited about. I know what Joe Douglas is building here. Like you mentioned with the team, we finally have a GM that totally understands it, that knows it's about drafting, cultivating talent, building a team. He's been doing that. His first draft was really good. This last draft, I've been saying it, just looking at it across the board, all the guys we mentioned with the franchise quarterback, best guard in the draft, up there, Quentin Nelson caliber, Moore, Carter. This could, obviously not now, but this could wind up being the best Jets draft class almost ever, or one of the best ones ever. Like it definitely has the potential to be something like that. Well, man, I'm excited. Like Zach was the guy I wanted. Like this was the quarterback that I wanted. This is my guy. Wanted him for a long time. He checked all the boxes for what I look for. I'm so happy he's our quarterback. So excited with his potential. I mean, it is his rookie season, though. So like Ali and Jack pointed out, I mean, you got to, take it with a grain of salt. He's learning a new system, stepping up to NFL level. I mean, the main thing with me is I just want to see progression, things moving in the right direction, the team jiving together. We mentioned all the talent and looking good. Zach, making better reads, making better decisions. But obviously it's not going to happen now. Probably won't happen in his rookie year. But man, I truly believe like we finally have a quarterback like that can be great. And that was the biggest thing that I moved away from Sam Darnold with. Like I was a big fan supporting him for a long time, but I realized like everyone said, if we have a good quality team, if there's good coaching, like if he was on this team, could he be good? Yeah, he could probably be good, but he's never going to be great. He's never going to be like a top 5, top 10, consistent, top of the league NFL quarterback. And like, I really do feel Zach can be that. Like I'm saying, this was my guy. Like when I did my eval, like I wasn't even that sold on Trevor Lawrence. I was pointing things out like, Deshaun Watson was just as good. And everyone's like, how dare you? But Zach was my guy, man. Like everything, like all the issues didn't make sense. He checked every box for me. And I feel like, again, there's going to be a bit of a learning curve, like with any rookie quarterback. But man, this kid has, I would say, the most potential of any Jets quarterback since Chad Pennington.
Bold takes right there. I love to hear it, Harrison. So
we need, I just want to say one more thing. We just need good games from Zach to be good games for the rest of the league's quarterbacks. Towards the end of Sam's time with the Jets, a good game for Sam became, 200 yards and not throwing a pick. That can't be a good game for Zach. We need a good game to be a good game on par with a good game from Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. I'm not expecting him to be that player. I'm just saying, we need I need to see Zach Wilson throw for 400 yards once. Just let me see that. Can I see that one time? I just want to see a Jets quarterback launch it for 4 quarters all goddamn day. I don't think it's too much to ask. I think we've all been patient. I don't think it's too much to ask by any means.
It's not, man.
Let's see it.
And I think, and if you think about it, you talk about, unfortunately, our quarterback bar is a pretty low bar. So, thinking about, our yards, our rookie touchdowns, I wouldn't be surprised. Zach could shatter it all, man. Zach could come out and just ball out and be like our best rookie quarterback ever. Just because that bar is I think it's 30-something touchdowns, 3,000, 500-600 yards. Man, Zach could have close to 4,000. I mean, this team is super talented. And like I was saying, I mean, there's going to be a learning curve, but man, I'm really happy about this kid. I think I've saw it for a long time. People are seeing it in OTAs. This is our guy.
And I don't know if you guys saw, Madden 22 came out with their rankings, and they gave Zach Wilson pretty good attributes. He's a 75 overall, which is expected, but 94 throw power, 83 speed for Zach Wilson. I'm going
That's
to be
pretty
burning
sick.
people with
Yeah.
Zach Wilson and Madden.
Yeah,
And if you
yeah.
compare it with like Mahomes, like obviously Mahomes has like a 99 throw power, and Josh Allen has like a 99 as well, but then like Aaron Rodgers has like a 93. And yeah, I'm talking about Madden, guys, and it has nothing to do with the game, but it's good to see that Madden gave Zach Wilson some nice attributes to work with. 83 speed as well is nice for a quarterback. I'm going to be looking nice. And we got the first donation of the night from my guy, Dan.
What up,
Probably
Dan?
the number one supporter here on Jets Media. You're the man, Dan, as always. Thank you so much for the donation, bro. I cannot wait for the start of the season. Most hyped I've been in a long time. This vibe is so different. Our family finally has hope. Rest in peace, Coach Knapp. Absolutely, Dan. I had a whole, speech about Coach Knapp earlier on in the stream. Thoughts and prayers goes out to the Knapp family. But Dan, you are the man. I appreciate all the support on Twitter, on YouTube. I never forget when you joined in. I think it was the first time I ever had subscribers join in on a live stream. It was for an Adam Gase rant. And you were one of those guys that came on and you just had a lot of things to say about Adam Gase. And I appreciate all the support, Dan. You are indeed the man. So let's hear my expectations for Zach Wilson, right? So where do I start? Zach Wilson, what do I want to see from this guy? Like Ali said it really well, and I'm so happy you said it, Ali. I want to see him learn from his mistakes and not make them again. And I feel like he has that. I feel like he's a film junkie. He's known to be a guy that is, Saturday night at BYU, all of his football friends and teammates want to go out. And he's like, nope, staying in, watching film. And he's like, and the teammates are like, yo, Zach, like we've been doing this all week. Like, let's take a break. Let's do other things. And Zach's like, no, he's like literally a lunatic with this shit. And that's what I love about Zach. I feel like my expectations for him is what I'm looking out for in a franchise quarterback after going through my entire life without one. I want to see someone that can command an offense. I want to see somebody that can read a defense. I want to see somebody that can call out plays that you can just absolutely tell what's coming and you make an adjustment, you make an audible, and you just have that mindset because there's so much to the quarterback position beyond the physical abilities. It's so much mental. How fast can he process things? When he gets the ball, is he calm, cool, collected in the pocket? Or does he have happy feet? Or is he a little rattled? And guys, he's going to have some plays where he's going to have happy feet and throw off his back foot and throw interceptions. But can he learn from it? That's what I'm looking for. The command in the huddle. Can he scan a defense? Can he make adjustments to line of scrimmage? Can he avoid pressure? I'm not looking at the arm. I know the arm is there. I know the talent is there. He could throw the ball 40 yards down the field, rolling to his left. He could throw the ball precisely. That's not what I'm looking for because I feel like any NFL quarterback has arm talent. You're not in the NFL without it. Obviously, there's a bar with more talented arms to less talented arms, but he's got a talented arm. I'm not looking for that. I want to see him be able to learn from his mistakes, command a huddle, be a leader because you can't be a quarterback in this league without having your guys, want to play for you. Learning from your mistakes, like I alluded to, scanning the defense, and just being a guy that you just look at and you're like, this guy has a lot of potential. I want to see him have top 10 plays, top 5 plays. There's a lot of times where, Sam would have a terrible game, and at the end of the game, you would just have a crazy play. I want to see Zach have those crazy plays, not in garbage time, but in a meaningful game. I really feel like Zach Wilson is going to, take the league by storm. And he has so much proving to do because I feel like there's a lot of expectations for him being the second overall pick, putting up crazy numbers at BYU, having the Jets offensive line that we have with the playmakers, with the system. There's a lot of expectations for Zach, and I feel like he's going to exceed them. I genuinely believe it. We just need to see a healthy quarterback play. That's all I want to see as well. Stay healthy, be protected, be smart with the football, learn how to slide if you're going to run because we need you protected. And like I said, I just don't really care about his arm talent as much as I care about his mental aspects because that's what separates guys like Tom Brady. Tom Brady's not the most physically gifted quarterback in the world, but he's the greatest quarterback in the world because of his mentality, because of his ability to manipulate defenses, the ability to just absolutely master the playbook. And he is just on another level. He elevates guys around him. Can Zach Wilson do that? Say we, God forbid, get banged up with injuries. We do not even have a starting tight end out there, or our wide receivers are banged up. We got someone out there that we're not used to having. Can Zach Wilson get the utmost potential out of him because of his talent? That's what great quarterbacks can do, raising the bar around you, making your team better because you're that good. So that's what I'm expecting. I can't even speak. That's what I am expecting out of Zach Wilson, or at least what I'm hopeful for. Yeah, and that really concludes this live stream on Jets Media where we break down training camp. We're going to be going over a lot of things. Actually, before we end the stream, we're going to open this up to a quick Jets Q&A. I'm going to let you guys in the stream ask us any questions. We'll be going live for another 5-10 minutes. So, guys, in the chat, feel free to shoot away any questions you have, anything related to the New York Jets, obviously, that you have for me, Ali, Jack, Harrison in particular, or if you want all four of us to answer it, feel free to do so. So, guys, in the chat, we're going to open this thing up for a Jets Q&A because I love interacting with you guys, and there's just so much to talk about with this Jets team. So, everybody in the chat, let's hear it. Any questions? Feel free to throw it our way.
There's kind of
in the chat, I see people are bringing up arm strength, and Richie, you nailed it. I think we talked about it in the past when I mentioned, I do my own personal QB eval. That was always the biggest take with me, how everyone focuses so much on arm strength. Like, how you see on Twitter, like that was my big joke when I did my QB eval podcast. Someone's asking, what I liked in Wilson, what I didn't like in Fields. How on Twitter, the first thing you see, the quarterback drop back in a perfect pocket, throws a deep ball downfield. The wide receiver does 90% of the work. And everyone's like, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. He's the greatest quarterback ever. But everyone can make that throw. Like even James Morgan had an unbelievable deep ball at FIU. Like that's not what you look for. And with those other things, like with Zach, I talk about the pocket awareness, being able to throw receivers open, the touch on the ball, specifically what he does in the pocket, though. He's just unbelievable. Like that's the things you look for.
I love it, Harrison. There's so much more to a quarterback play than his arm. And I feel like that's the last thing I'm worried about because he has the arm. It's just all about that mental to really take you to the other level. So this is the first question that we got. Will Elijah Moore have more than 800 yards? All right. Yes or no? Ali?
Yes, but I see the distribution crazy. I don't think any wide receiver is going to go 1,000 yards this year. I think it's going to be distributed through all the wide receivers.
Jack, how about you? Elijah Moore, more than 800 yards?
Yes, more.
Moore will have more than 800 yards.
More will have more. Yes.
How about you, Harrison?
Well, like I suck at math, which is the problem. But like I'm trying to think, like if you get like just 50 yards a game, that's like 800 yards, right? Like give or take ish.
There's an extra.
I think there's an extra game. Okay, so we got to make it 850. But even that being the case, like I think what Elijah Moore, Corey Davis sniffing at it last year in a contract year, finally being a true wide receiver one. I'm hoping, man, maybe we could have two receivers with 1,000+ yards. Maybe we can go back to like 2015 with that Brandon Decker, Eric Marshall. I just reversed the names. The Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker combination, man. I mean, I think Moore could have over 800, and I think Corey Davis has the potential to break 1,000.
All right, that's a bold take from Harrison, and I love to hear it.
Listen, man, Corey Davis finished the season last year with just under 1,000 yards in Tennessee, and he's competing with A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry on that offense as well. So I think Corey Davis could definitely have over 1,000 for sure.
Yeah, and people just look at what he did in the NFL, but if you go back to college, like he's one of the best college wide receivers ever. Like he has the most receiving yards in college football of all time with like 5,200 something. Like he's incredible. He was incredible.
The next question comes from another loyal subscriber on Jets Media. Edward, I hope everything is going well by you, man. I appreciate you joining in. Does anyone think we'll have a 1,000-yard rusher? I'm going to say no because, like Ali mentioned with the wide receivers, I think that's going to be with the running back room even more. They're going to be splitting carries. I think Michael Carter will lead the team in rushing yards, but he's not getting 30 carries per game. If he would get 30 carries per game, he'd be way over 1,000 yards. I think they're going to split it between all these guys. Tevin Coleman's going to get his share of carries, Ty Johnson, and we'll see what happens with P. Ryan or Josh Adams. But I feel like this running back by committee offense, it's hard for me to say 1,000-yard rusher. But I will say I think Michael Carter will exceed 1,000 yards at the line of scrimmage if you combine his receiving and yards on the ground. Ali, what are your thoughts? Do you think that we'll have a 1,000-yard rusher this season?
No, no. We're not. I don't think this team is that capable of doing that right now. I think it's just everyone's gonna get a share, and we'll see what happens, and we'll see if Michael Carter can, become that guy that gets 1,000 yards maybe in the future. But right now, I don't think there's a guy on this roster that will get 1,000 yards.
How about you, Jack?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you guys. I think that, while Michael Carter is definitely going to be, bearing the brunt of the workload, I don't think that he's going to hit that 1,000 yard mark just because we are going to be spreading the ball around to guys like Tevin Coleman and Ty Johnson. So I'm going to say no, but that doesn't mean he's not going to have a phenomenal season, Michael Carter, because like I said earlier, I think that he's going to be used a lot in the passing game as well. So maybe 1,000 yards from scrimmage for Michael Carter. I wouldn't be taken back with that hypothesis at all, but probably not 1,000 yards on the ground.
How about you, Harrison?
Yeah, I'm pretty boring. I'm going to agree with you guys 100%. I completely agree. This is going to be a running back by committee because that's how this offense is designed. When they interviewed Michael LaFleur, he literally said that the lifeline of this offense is the running game. The running game needs to happen to be able to open up the play action, open up the deep balls. And we saw it with the 49ers. He made decent all-stars out of nobodies. Guys like Moser that we even passed on, that we decided wasn't good enough to be a Jet. And he's killing it over there with the Niners. Casala can make it work with anybody in that committee. I think Michael Carter is going to be the most dominant of all of them. I think was majorly slept on in this draft. Maybe he can get close to 1,000, but I think it's going to be more of a committee approach.
So this isn't really a question. I think this is just more about let's talk about this man. And I'm all so down to talk about CJ Mosley because I really feel like CJ Mosley is the least talked about Jet this year that's going to make the biggest impact. And I think the only thing holding him back is playing football. If he's on the field, I really feel like even if he's half of what he was on the Baltimore Ravens, we're getting a dog. That's how good this guy was. I don't think people realize 4-time Pro Bowler. He was the highest paid linebacker in the NFL at the time that we signed him. Thank you, Mike McCagnon, for that. Joe Douglas would not have done that contract, but we are here with him now. I'm actually happy he opted out of the season last year simply because we had Adam Gase, and we don't need him to be there. And it was just a terrible season. And let his body get right. Let his body become healthy for this season. And I feel like I mentioned it earlier in the stream. He just has a lot to prove to Jets fans. So if you guys just want to give your brief statement on what your expectations for CJ Mosley this year, starting with you, Ali.
Yeah, I think the Jets just need a commander-in-chief of that defense, and CJ Mosley could be that guy that steps up, and that's why he was brought in by Mike McCagnon in the beginning. He was supposed to come in and be the leader of that defense, and I think week 1 against that Bills, when his first game, I think that's the best defensive football since Darrelle Revis we've seen from a player on the Jets. He had a fumble, he had a touchdown, pick 6, he had everything going for him, and then nothing since then. So, I expect him to be out there and coaching up like Blake Cashman, who I think has still a lot of potential, coaching these other linebackers and just being the leader. We lost Jamal Adams, no Jamal Adams here. Marcus May is a question mark for if he's going to come back next year. CJ Mosley could be that glue for this defense, and we need that glue. And I think like a Demario Davis type role that he went Demario Davis with the Jets, I think that's what CJ Mosley could possibly be. So I'm really looking for how CJ Mosley has kept his body and if he's at that elite level that he was in Baltimore.
How about you, Jack? What are your thoughts about CJ Mosley going into this year?
Yeah, CJ has been a guy that's been on my shit list a little bit for the last 6 months or so. But he's got to, everything you guys just said, I'll just add on to it. He's just got to show us that he's worth the money that we gave him and that he's going to fill that defensive anchor leadership role, that he excels at. And we obviously saw, the last time we saw him on the field, he looked like, one of the best defensive players ever to play the game, in any let me go back. In any era, he looked like just one of the best to ever do it. So if he can get back to that old CJ Mosley form, then obviously it's incredible, and we're lucky to have him. And I'm stoked that he's here to be a part of this team and this defense. But if he comes back and he's getting paid all this money and he just opted out last season, I understand injury. The injury thing, can't do anything about that. And I also, I'm not trying to, rank on a guy too bad for opting out, because you got to do what you got to do for your family or whatever. But, a lot of people opted in last year as well. So it kind of just sat with me a little little strangely all year that the guy who we made the highest paid linebacker in the NFL when we gave him all this money. The fact that he kind of, just kind of abandoned us last year, if we're really being honest with ourselves, kind of sat with me weird during the season. But like I said, if he can get back to his old form, I'm all for it. And I'm happy that he's going to be here to really start changing the culture on this defense, but this team as a whole. I think he definitely has an important role to play. I just hope that he can stay on the field and play at a high level and do what we paid him all this money to do.
Well said. How about you, Harrison? What are your thoughts of CJ Mosley going into this year?
It's interesting, yeah, because I mean, like you guys all pointed out, I mean, when CJ Mosley was, he was paid to be at the time the highest paid middle linebacker for a reason. The guy was supposed to come in and be great. I mean, he was before Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas isn't the one to pay him, which was interesting. Brought up conversations of possible trades, things like that. But the big thing with CJ Mosley is the unknown. Like, he did opt out last year, which, again, totally up to him. Everyone to each their own. Like, the one thing I would say with that, though, is I know a lot of people were saying, he was trying to get away from Gase. I don't really buy into that aspect of it. I think, a player wants to be there for his teammates and be there for the guy next to him. And I think, that if that's actually the case and players didn't want to play solely because of, like, the coaching staff, then they shouldn't be there anymore. Like, that's honestly how I feel. Like, that's not a team player and they shouldn't be there. So I don't think that rhetoric is true. I think, that's just a fan perspective on it. But it's interesting because, he hasn't played in 2 years. And when he played in the beginning of 2019, I mean, for that first quarter in 2019, he looked like the best linebacker, period. Like, that dude was amazing, like lights out, an interception, a fumble, a recovery, just everything. He was amazing. But he hasn't played in 2 years, and he's close to 30. I mean, those are things you got to take into account. So, I mean, he says he's good. He says he's ready to go. He said he's back to where he was. And what's interesting is I thought Bart Scott, a former also really great Jet linebacker, said actually on CJ Mosley, which is interesting. He said he thinks that he feels like CJ Mosley feels that he owes Jet fans a lot. Like, he wants to remind people who he is, called him an alpha male, called him a leader, said he's been taught by some of the best in the business, said he's a top 5 linebacker in the league, and people are going to remember who he is. So I think that's what's interesting about it. It's completely wide open right now. Like, we don't know if he's back at that level. We don't know if he's 100% healthy. We don't know if that's the Mosley we're getting. Like you said, Richie, if we are, I mean, look out. Like, he's a leader. He's can be one of the best players on that defense. But we just don't know. So it's a very interesting situation.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate because it is the big unknown. We do not know what to expect, but we will see. If all I really care about is CJ playing, because it's not like CJ's been playing for the Jets for 2 years and is not playing well. It's just he hasn't been playing football. So it's so hard to value if he's, a good football player still or not. So that's going to conclude our Jets Media live stream with Ali, Jack, and Harrison. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did not like the stream, please make sure you like it up. I'll greatly appreciate that. If you guys are not subscribed to all these guys, it's down below in the description. We appreciate all the support. Everybody in the chat, stay tuned for more content. And an announcement real quick. The AFC East Roundtable is back, baby. It's going to be on my channel Wednesday night. We got the whole AFC East squad coming on Jets Media Wednesday night on my channel at 9 p.m. So stay tuned, all my Dolphins, Bills, and Patriots fans that love Jets Media. We appreciate you guys. I hope you see you trolls in the chat. We got Dan Mitchell, TD Fins Talk, and Master at Work back in the building debating about the AFC East. So stay tuned for that. I got player profiles coming out all throughout the week. I got Mekhi Becton tomorrow, Denzel Mims the day after that, CJ Mosley, Bryce Hall. I'll be making player profiles and everybody on the roster. I got so much content coming for you guys all throughout leading up until training camp. I'm also going away next week, but I'm bringing my equipment with me. I'm bringing Jets Media on the road, so I'm going to try to pump out as much content as I can because, unfortunately, it's a little bad timing. It's literally in the heart of training camp. So I'm going to be trying to make a lot of videos for you guys while I'm away from home. But, yeah, I appreciate all the support, guys. We're going to go around the table one more time to give our final goodbyes, starting off with you, Ali.
Yeah, man, it was fun to talk about football, and I feel like next week we'll have actual football to talk about because we're going to know what's buzzing in training camp, so that's going to be really fun. And the wait is finally over, man. We're going to be going as fans this weekend. I'm gonna go see the Jets on Saturday with Richie. It's gonna be a blast, and I can't wait to get in the groove of football because, man, it's probably the best time of the year. I watch the NBA, MLB. It's just not the same than football. Watching football every Sunday, so I can't wait. I'll see you guys next week.
For sure, man. Jack, anything you want to say before we end the stream, man?
Yeah, just thanks for making it happen as always, bro. And Harrison, thanks for joining us, man. It was really a pleasure getting to talk Jets with you. You're an extremely knowledgeable guy, and I'll definitely be checking out your podcast later on tonight. What time does that kick off?
That's going to be live at 7 p.m. So a couple of hours. You guys come check it out. It's a good time.
Cool, man. I'm looking forward to that, and thanks for joining us. And thank you to everybody in the chat, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
For sure. Harrison, anything you want to say? Plug all your podcasts for, again, people that don't know who you are.
Definitely, yes. I would totally appreciate if you guys can check out my podcast. Please subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciated. It's the Flight Spittin Fire Podcast. That's what I try to do. Try to spit that fire when I can. I have guests on. I've had Richie on before. Mentioned we have players in the past. So again, please check it out. Please subscribe. You find me on Twitter at NYJets, TF Media. The company's Take Flight Media. We have our website. We have Jets Writing, Jets Reporting there, takeflightmedia.org. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me. This was a really, really great time. Really enjoyed talking with you guys about the Jets.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to have
sir.
you on, Harrison. This definitely will not be the last. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Let's go Jets. A lot of Jets content coming. The NFL season is finally here. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.